Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. Now, I'm going to talk about teaching, and I have two short pieces that I'd like to do, so I may as well just merge them into one video just to make life easier. The first one is basically a small piece by a young cub trainee teacher. She had just qualified and was going in to her first school under probationary rules to be a teacher. It was fulfilling her lifelong ambition. I always wanted to be a teacher. And she lasted 4 weeks as a teacher, and she's no longer a teacher. And we're going to have a look at that and see why. And you'll see why, and you can't blame her. And then there is, behind that as well, and you need to stick for this one, there is something that's happening which is mind-blowing. But it goes to show how badly thought out policies are in this madcap government that is led by an idiot called Starmer. So we'll just do these two quickly and just to get through. But teaching today it's mental. So firstly, we've got a young teacher in Scotland. Now, these teachers don't get contracts anymore. They get temporary contracts because the councils don't have the ability to take them on a full and proper contract, because that would mean they'd be paid off. They'd have to have certain conditions attached, and the councils can't afford it. And literally cannot afford it. So they put them on little temporary contracts that they renew every 6 months to a year long, which is quite unfair. And it's no reason, it's one of the reasons why teaching is declining in Scotland as an occupation, and why so many teachers are either retiring if they're old enough or leaving and going to England if they're not. This won't take long. I'm going to read it out to you, but you'll see why this teacher lasted just 4 weeks. Now, this is a young teacher. She started working in Edinburgh just earlier this year. And she quit after 4 weeks because of the stress. Now, this letter, it's horrific. She said, probationary teachers at the school receive no training. There's no tour of the school. And there's no detail about behavioural policies. She said the state of the classrooms, meanwhile, is disgusting. She describes the workload as unfathomable, and it left her completely drowning at the end of each and every day. She said, I was at my desk at 7:30 every morning and would be in school until 5 p.m. at a minimum every night. I was then expected and did continue to work once I got home. I was working an average of 14 hours a day. I found myself completely unable to switch off, and I struggled to concentrate on conversations with my partner. I was unable to sleep as I was going over the workload and lessons in my head. The post-it notes and lists were beginning to look like War and Peace and smothering my walls. I worked out that I was working over 60 hours a week, and my hourly rate was £10.26, which is below the national minimum wage and therefore illegal. She said, I appreciate that this was the start of my career, but my body was soon reacting to the stress, and I became ill with migraines, shortness of breath, and gut problems. The teacher left after being ill and sick and suffering a massive panic attack. On a Thursday morning, she picked up her bag, she left the classroom, and she has never returned. And you can imagine when she got home that it would be like a weight coming off her shoulders, the relief of going, I never have to go back there. But the sadness of having a life goal of being a teacher destroyed in just 4 weeks in the job. And that is why so many young teachers especially are leaving Scottish education and moving to England. Not saying it's much better, but it's somewhat better. Now, that has got to be addressed. And that's up to Jenny Gilruth in Scotland to address these problems. She won't, of course. These are problems that are way beyond her ability to correct and fix. Now, I did say that there was another issue going on in education, and this is the one where, well, you're not going to believe this. So, we know soon there's going to be VAT added to public school fees. And there's a story, and it's an astonishing story, and I suspect it won't be the only one. But there is a public school student whose parents said that they cannot afford to continue paying the school fees. Now there's an extra 20% on top because of VAT. And so they pulled their child out of the public school at the beginning of September, or it would be the end of the academic year in July, but ready to go into the state school come the beginning of September, so that at least they'd start in the beginning of a year, not halfway through a year or anything. So they applied, and they applied to the 4 schools in their area. All 4 schools in their area were already oversubscribed, and the local council couldn't find them a place. Literally just not there. And so, in order to comply with the law, the local council are paying to let that child go back to the public school whence he came. But here's the thing, because of the law, the local council have to pay the whole fee, including the VAT that's going to be added on. And so that family, far from being able to not being able to afford the school fees with the extra VAT added on, are now getting their child educated at public school completely free, and the taxpayer is picking up the bill. This is what happens when morons find themselves in high office and make laws not based on common sense or decency or anything, but make laws based on the fact that they have no idea what they're talking about, and they don't like the idea of someone benefiting, someone getting slightly better education. Daddy's paying for it. We don't like that. We don't want you to have a better education. You might be clever enough to defeat us. And it is this politics of envy, even though 90% of the Labour front bench went to public school. I mean, Starmer's little toolmaker of a father sent him to public school. But it's not good enough for anyone else who's struggling to do this, struggling to give their children an advantage. Oh no, you mustn't do that. But how's that working out when now the taxpayer are paying the whole fee plus VAT for that child to go to school? Madness, absolute madness. But do we expect anything worse? Schools and the education system in this country is screwed beyond belief. And all because of communists, effectively, the left. It's always the left, isn't it? Thanks a lot. Bye.